Hey everyone, welcome to Group Text. Just like the opening chords of Milli Vanilli's Girl You Know It's True, hearing my guest name fills me with tremendous nostalgia for the music and comedy of the 1990s. Bill Bellamy has spent more than 3 decades, God, that's a lot, doing stand-up acting in movies and on TV. He has now written a book called Top Billin', Stories of Laughter, Lessons, and Triumph. His podcast is also called Top Billin', that makes it easy, is a huge hit as well. So grab a beanie, baby, Papa Zima, and please welcome Bill Bellamy to Group Text.
I forgot about Zima. Oh my God.
One of my really good friends was in a Zima commercial. We still give him crap.
Oh my God. Zima was I was on a Zima comedy tour. I remember Zima was popping.
Yeah.
Oh,
and well, by the way,
God.
And they, the kids all think they're so cool with whatever that crap is called. And you want to say, honey, don't talk to me till you can drink a Bartles and James.
Yeah, talk to me when you can knock back that B&J.
White Claw, you guys got nothing with White Claw. Show me a Zima.
We were doing that in the 90s. We were Zima. We were doing Bartles and James. I'm trying to think what else was popping back then. You just taking me back. Cross Colors.
Oh, it was all so disgusting.
John came out back then. Yeah, I remember all that 90s stuff.
Yeah,
Loud colors. Yeah. Loud. Everything was yellow, orange, lime.
I know. Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. I want to talk about your new memoir, which is wonderful. It's heartfelt. It's funny.
Yes.
When you were doing and knocking out when you were knocking out, I can't even say this, bringer sets at Rascals in West Orange, New Jersey, did you ever think a memoir was in your future?
No, Melissa, it's so interesting. Like, even when you say that, it's like a trip because it's like, wow, it seems so mature and so like legendary and adult, right? And I feel like every time I say I'm an author, I feel like so refined. Like, oh my God, But during COVID, when we were just, nothing was moving around, and I had already had a deal with HarperCollins at the time, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take this time to really just dig into my life. And so I go in my archives. I was always taking pictures, always had a camera with me, right? Thank God, because when I went into old boxes, we got the negatives, we got the old Kodak. You remember we used to get into the sleeve and you had to go through your pictures, and some of them were blurry, you throw them out.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking at these photos and I'm going, oh my God, I forgot about that. That was crazy. Oh my God, I was in Hawaii with Mariah Carey. That's right. Like, so I'm going over my life. And then I started to think about the impact of that time. Like, people can't go back to the 90s and enjoy what we did. They can't go back and like know what it was like when Zima first came out, and you know what I'm saying? Like, when the first time we were doing things with complete freedom, And so when I was sitting with Nicole Smith, who helped me write my book, she was like, Bill, you came up in a really special time. Do you realize that like that was an age or a decade of innocence? It was a decade of creativity, a decade where pop culture exploded, and you were in the middle of it. You have a story. I said, oh, snap. And so I just started writing, my experiences and choices that I made that I could have went left. I went right, and thank God I went right because it was on the right path to get to this, to that. And what I hope with the book, I hope people will realize that you can't allow other people to limit your vision. Like, because some people cannot see what you see, Melissa. Like, you could be like, I'm going to go to medical school. They'd be like, what? Oh, come on. You're not going to go to medical school. You're like, no, I actually see myself being a doctor. I always want to be a doctor. And you start making choices. Next thing you know, you're a doctor. Everybody will tell you it's impossible. And that's what happened to me. People are like, you can't be in the entertainment business. How is that possible? Like, did you go to acting school? I was like, no. I was like, I want to be a comedian. Did you learn how to be a comic? No, but I'm doing it.
Well, and I'm jumping ahead, and I was thinking about this. You
Yes.
went to Rutgers and have
Yes.
an economics degree, and I can't think of anyone in finance, which I'm sure was where you were heading with that. I mean,
Yes.
when you're interviewing at JP Morgan, they don't want someone that they go, oh, God, that's a good one.
Right, right,
You
right,
know,
right. They
that's
really
not
don't.
what they're looking for.
No, that is not the guy that they want, right? Um, I didn't know I was going to be a comedian. Actually, like you said, my major was economics. My minor was in marketing, and I knew that I definitely wanted to, be in the business world. And at that time, I was interested in working on Wall Street. I was working towards like, okay, well, I love money. I love that world of, knowing how things move and investments and things of that nature. I said, I would love to work on the stock exchange. That was one of my ideas in my head. I was like, that'd be dope. The energy of the stock exchange, could be a young guy out there killing it. And I didn't know I was going to get sideswiped with something else that I wanted to do. Because when you're a creative person, you will have tons of ideas. Like, you just have, like, it's like writing songs. And your ideas are your songs, right? So you write little songs, and then I'm like, well, I don't know if I'll write that song all the way through. I'm gonna write a verse. And then you know what I mean? So I might be like one of those sort of like eclectic guys where, I have this mind that just is so open to the possibilities that I'm too silly to even know that it's impossible. I don't even see that part.
Well, and we both, you were a little bit ahead of me, but we both came out of college in, again, the rough and tumble 90s with friends going into finance.
Yes.
And and I went to Penn where half of them are Wharton undergrads.
Yes.
So you can only imagine. And I always look at them, and some of them are so funny. And I think about, how did you sit there all day being so serious? And the other thing that's funny is, but what it is also, which I find in common, are the hours because of the amount of work. And I don't know, were you prepared for the amount of work becoming a successful comic would take? Because it's hours upon hours. It's not just the performing.
No, it's a lot of commitments, like you said. And, you grew up in this world where you see on all angles the business, the practice of it, your mom doing shows here, this, that, boom, bam, boom. Like, so it like I know it, right? But I didn't know that part of it. I just was like, well, maybe I'll get a show, right? And maybe I'll do 10 minutes. And when you're new, you don't get a lot of time. You get like 5. You get 5 to 7, then you get to 15, and then you get to 20. You know what I mean? You never get the hour, right? So you're practicing, you're grinding. I'm shooting up from Jersey to New York and getting a guest spot for 10 minutes. But my parking costs $90, right? So it's like, we didn't have Uber back then. We was like, I was double parking, and I was rolling the dice that I wouldn't get towed, watch my car, watch my car, watch my car. I'll be right back. And I'll run into Catch a Ride to Star. I'd run uptown, I was all over the place. But I never felt like it was work. That was a good thing. Like, cause I was always excited to be funny. Like, I was like, damn, man, wait till they see me in Connecticut. Wait till they see me in Philly. I always felt like I had something to prove. Like, they're going to see that I'm one of the funniest dudes they ever seen, that kind of thing.
What's your process? Because my mom was always writing things down.
Yes.
She was very much a grinder. Then it would go into her act when she would be trying out material before it got into the Vegas act or onto a TV show. And she would grind.
Yes. Well, see, that's old school.
Yeah.
That's old school. And I'm a part of that generation, like a little bit too, because like that was how we did it back in the day. You would practice until perfect. You made a show ready. And so in order to do that, you would have to write. Like, my process now is like, I come up with a premise. right?
Right.
I will do it in my phone. Like, 25 years ago, we can put it in our phone. You just be like, okay, I want to do this joke about getting older. Oh my God, I got to do this. I don't want to be the oldest guy in the room. That'll be the premise, right? And then I'll go back and I'll just start writing around that premise about getting older and how when old man, like you just don't want to be that old man. If you get old, you want to be the cool old dude. You don't want to be the old dude that's just sitting there, right? So I write the joke, keep playing with it, going to club, keep playing with it, tweak it, doing this, doing that, don't like that. And then when I finally get it right, now it's ready for a theater show. It's going to be funny in the middle, the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's going to have purpose. It's going to have all that like sauce in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, honestly, it's like making a meal, really. Jokes are like making a meal, and you got to keep putting the right ingredients until it tastes really good.
It's also like being an athlete. Practice, 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 practice.
Yeah, you have to. And I'd say to all the new guys, sort of the social media comedians that are coming over into the game, is that being funny on social media is great. It's one thing. To be funny on stage is a craft. That is like, that's an exercise in another muscle that you might not get from your phone. Like this microphone, stool, maybe you have some water, and go. And these people are looking at you like, make me laugh, right?
Yeah.
The expectation is crazy, especially if they paid over $30. Especially New Yorkers, if they pay 50, you better be funny from start to finish.
100%. The book is amazing because, again, like you said, it tracks so much of it tracks the 90s. But your childhood, your parents had you very young.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about having to be independent.
Yes.
I'm sure at the time it didn't feel like you were gaining a life skill. But how much do you think that played into your ability to get onto the road, to be able to and being a road comic, and that's a compliment, is very lonely.
Yeah, man. It is. And there's so many different ways to do it. For people who don't know about me, I was what they call a latchkey kid. Me and my sister were very young. I could, at between 10 and 12 years old, I was riding a public bus by myself with my sister. Like we had to get from point A to point B. And we had people that looked out for us, they made sure we got on the bus, and we had the crossing guard that would wait for us and see me and my little sister or whatever. But we did that independently as kids. Just think about that. You wouldn't let your child get on the train and go from Brooklyn to Queens. You'd be like, what? At 10 years old, oh my God, I got to go with my baby. You probably have a heart attack just thinking about it, right? But we were doing that. So inadvertently, I think, I was more mature than I should have been at that age, like just out of pure necessity, survival. My conditions were of such that I needed to, catch the bus to school. My parents were working and they couldn't take us, so they had to teach us how to do it ourselves, right? And the beauty in that was, it's like a skill, a life skill of survival, how to win. You can feed yourself. You do not have to wait for me to come home to take care of you. You know where this is, you know how to do that. So you start self-managing early. And I didn't think about it at all until I was doing a book. I was like, I thought every kid had to do that. Like I didn't, like, try to, you know what I mean? I thought every kid had their own key and would, get on the bus or get on the train and go home and, go a while before they get home and get off and get in the house, right?
Right.
But now when you look back at it, what a inadvertent superpower, because you learn early how to forget, how to figure things out, how to manage a situation at an early age. So now I'm a grown man. Little stuff don't even bother me. It just shoots by me like, Cheryl, that ain't nothing, right? It's nothing. You know what I mean? Organizing my travel, logistics, getting here, that, and the other. Now, of course, I have people to help me, but if I had to do it, and when I was doing it, it was nothing to me. Like, I knew how to manage my time. I knew how to, get my rest, like, okay, well, I can't party all night tonight. Tonight is not, I got to do radio, TV tomorrow. So I got to take it in. I can do that another night. Like, so it's always choices that you make. And 30 years in, I'm here to tell the story, which is a blessing, so people can go back with me. And I hope that my book makes people feel good and that they are inspired. Like, I just hope that when they read it, they're going to go like, oh my God, I was at so-and-so high school in the 9th grade,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay, enough depth in you being smart. I want to get shallow because that's my happy place.
Right.
Right? What did you want to put in the book that you said to yourself, I better not? And by the way, you can give examples and just change names, like a rhyme. Like, for example, to say rhymes with schmace of bass.
Right. Schmace of bass, right, go ahead.
Like, what didn't make the book that you went, oh God, because I know when I write my books, I'm always like, there's stuff that you're like, oh crap, I really wanted to keep that in, but my lawyer says I can't.
There's a really, really funny story about when I went to Michael Jackson's house that is so hilarious.
Oh, tell.
No, but the thing about it is...
Okay, you know what? You're no fun.
I know, but listen, but it didn't make the book because you can't... This is what I find, because legal.
Legal.
When you do a book, oh my God, legal is like the police. Oh, you can't say it like that. Everything's... But... the thing what I wanted to say is because I did the audiobook as well. And, everyone knows I tell these funny stories. I wanted to tell the story on how amazing the house was to me. I've never seen no shit like this. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like you got your own zoo. Like, when you got your own zoo, you got to understand what I'm trying to say to you.
Oh, I do.
Do you understand how much money you have to feed your own giraffe? Do you understand how much money when you have more than one lion? They don't eat Chick-fil-A. They don't eat Chick-fil-A. They don't eat like stuff like, hey, they eat other stuff. Okay. And I'm like, so when I was telling the story, legal NDAs, oh my God, I know it's funny, Bellamy. However, no, we can't. So I wanted to tell that story because I know my real fans would be in tears. But it was and he had his own ice cream parlor.
Well, he also had some other things that aren't so good to talk about, but that's not why we're here.
Well, I'm talking about I'm talking about fun shit.
I know you are. So there's a great story that not many people know about my mom. She had, in one of her books, she had written something about Kristen Stewart when she was caught kissing the director of her movie. Remember, that was like a big thing.
Right.
And Kristen Stewart's legal called My Mom's Legal, and they wanted it taken out of the book and blah, 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 and defamation. So my mom said, go ahead, because I'm going to go to court and I'm going to bring a doll and ask, where did he touch you?
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yes. We all saw the pictures of you making out with the director of your movie. Show me where else he touched you.
Silence.
They never pursued it.
Hey, that is the line of lies. That reminds me about when Kanye West was saying all this stuff about Amber Rose in an interview, and she said, This is her verbatim quote. She said, "You didn't say nothing when you asked me to put my finger in your booty." He was like,
I know. I remember that.
it was like, oh, so back to you, Ted. You got to go to weather.
Yeah.
You got to get out of there. You like,
back to Al Roker. Hey Al, what's the forecast? Speaking of booty.
right.
Oh my God, they're screaming downstairs. I can hear them with laughter. It's not good that you and I get the giggles. We need our own show where we'll do nothing but laugh.
But giggle. Sure.
So you coined the phrase booty call. So you are now in the pantheon with like Rodney Dangerfield, I Don't Get No Respect, my mom with Can We Talk? How did booty call come to you and come out of your mouth on stage? Now, by the way, I also put you in the realm of major cultural significance because you also interviewed Tupac and Biggie and found a way to stay neutral in the whole on Jam, whatever the show was on MTV Jamz, and stay in the middle safely of the East Coast, West Coast. So there's no way that you knew the cultural significance of booty call when it flew out of your mouth.
No, not at all. Not at all. I would be lying if I said that, but I just knew it was funny because it's a funny word. It's like booty call, right? When you say it, it doesn't sound bad because you got to think in the early 90s, the language was so stiff. Like you couldn't go on network TV and say, I got some ass, or whatever.
Right.
So I was like, damn, man, what if you could make a booty? I said it to myself and I heard it. I said, that shit funny. Because some words just sound funny. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm going to write a joke around booty call. So booty call really is Friday night. Booty call is literally Friday night when you got a new apartment and you single and you trying to get somebody over there. And that's the thing. Back then we didn't have phones that you had to use your Rolodex. You used to really have a black book back in the day. Like that was the thing. You would look like, but I had a Rolodex. Like so I used to do this. So then when I thought about it, I was like, what if you're thumbing? Like like Wheel of Fortune, you sliding up. And every time you stop, it's a girl. Through the roof funny. So you basically, you dial it for booty. You like, for 800, Keisha, no. Well, when I used to do that shit in the club, pandemonium. Everybody got a joke that's a comedian that kills, and you just know when I drop this one, it's going to be like a nuclear explosion, right? And so I didn't know it was going to be like, oh my God, like every sitcom uses it. Now it's so synonymous with, saying about, a late night rendezvous or whatever. But it's a fun way to say it. I saw it they said that shit on Friends.
Don't you wish you had trademarked it?
I kill myself right now for that. What?
Oh, but that was like with us, with Live from the Red Carpet. Why? Or who are you wearing? What the fuck were we thinking?
Well, but see, comics are different. Comics are creative people. And a lot of times we just say it and don't realize how profound it is. It just comes out like a note on a song or a chord. Like you could be playing a chord and you'd be like, that's a nice ass chord. Like, yo, that's never been done before. You might want to patent that goddamn chord.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I come out of the same years at MTV that you did. And it was so fun and it was so wild. You now have teenagers.
Yes. Oh.
Exactly. And I have found this with my son, who's now 22. Sometimes I look at him and I go, I mattered and was cool at one point. And they just roll their eyes at you.
Oh my God. They think my kids don't know their daddy. Your daddy is blah. Like your daddy is a cool motherfucker. Right? So they're like, oh, Dad. Oh, God, Dad. Oh, my God, Dad. You are so like lame or like old school, right? And I'm like, yo, do you understand that your dad is a walking legend, but I'm in carpool just because of you? I'm only in carpool because of you. If I didn't know you, I'd be somewhere else. I'd be on a private plane right now. I'm in carpool. I'm doing pancake day.
Yeah. But like Cooper,
They're like, Mr. Bellamy, are you doing the pancakes or are you doing the waffles? Like when I was doing all the kids stuff, I felt so normal. It was so fun though. I loved it, but my kids now, we tease each other. They're like, Dad, you got to get some more drip. My son told me I got to get more drip.
Oh, nice, nice. I love the fact
like,
though that
oh
they're the first ones to have cool catchphrases,
yeah,
or words. Like when you go, dude, that was so rad. I used hella the other day, and it was just because I was talking fast, and my son turned around and goes, "Don't use that." I didn't mean to. Asshole.
It came out.
Mom was one of the first ones to wear Doc Martens with mismatched laces shorts on doing interviews. Okay, fuck off.
Nobody was doing that. Mommy was doing that, baby. Get your weight up.
Exactly.
But some of the stuff, ironically, some of the styles are coming back, which is really kind of cool. That some of the stuff from the 90s in the fashion, like some of the memory, we were wearing more bigger clothes.
Do you have any of like your sort of stuff from the 90s still that have your kids picked through it? Like they must rock 90s day at school.
Like I give you an example, like I have like a vintage old school MTV t-shirt that somebody probably would like go crazy over. I have all my rock and jock jerseys from the basketball, football. Like I literally saw a dude came up to me at my son's basketball tournament. I swear to God. And he asked me to sign with my name on it. He got it from a thrift store and it had my name on it. Swear to God. One of my jerseys it had Bellamy on it. I said, that's crazy. So I signed it for him.
I love that you probably go from honored, like, oh my God, until they drop the bomb of thrift store.
I was like, oh, it was in a thrift store? How much it cost you? $4? Okay, cool.
They weren't even trying to sell it on eBay.
No. Like, I'm bigger than that, right?
So how old are your kids? You do have a teenage daughter.
Yeah, both of them. My son.
Oh, I thought you had a boy and a girl.
I do.
Oh.
So I have my son is 16. My daughter is 19. So this year, it's going to be interesting because Bailey will be 20 in the summer and Barron will be 17, which is crazy. So he's going into his senior year in the fall. In high school, she's going into her junior year in college. Make it happen. Make it make sense. It was like, just like this. I just sent this is what I love about the iPhone. Even though it gets in your business, iPhone will pull out a picture on you and make you cry one day. You'd be like, oh my God. My kids were so small. They were like 6 and 3. Adorable. Where were those days? Oh, my son had the bib. He was probably younger than that. He was probably like almost 1 because he had a little bib thing. And he had a stain on it. I remember feeding him when he was little like that. He never just a mess. Now he wants to wrestle me all the time. All the time. The little kid that I used to right here, now he wants to wrestle, he wants to fight, he wants to play basketball with me. I'm like, man, I got to stay young just so I can keep up with this bull.
Yeah, I those pictures come up and I'm always sending them to Cooper. And I sent him one the other day that I love. And all he said was, oh my God, you still have a picture with me wearing a retainer?
They got to respect the game. You the queen around there. Melissa, you better tell your son to call me. His mama is everything.
He's a great kid. And especially because I was a single mom. He's a great kid. But so your daughter is 19.
Yeah.
This is a big question. Would you have let her go on Beach House?
I would have went with her though.
That would kill the vibe.
Yeah, Beach House was bomb.
Yep.
Here's what was cool about the MTV Beach House, man. We were young, we were having fun, we had no social media. There was no sort of like stiffness in the culture at that point. And I remember, and this is so crazy, I remember feeling like I was the first Black guy that a lot of white kids met. It was so funny because they'd be like, dude, like, why could you go to my school? Or like they would say, like, Bill Bellamy, you're like the coolest guy I ever met. Or girls would be like, oh my God, you like I've had a crush on you for 2 years. I saw you, blah blah blah. I'd be like, what? And then I would always get invited to stuff. Bill, you gotta come. You gotta come to our mansion. You gotta come. We gotta come. My parents gotta meet you. You were like the badass. You're so badass, right? So it was so cool because I was that, if in a lot of cases, you know, some kids' first sort of interaction with other cultures,
Mm-hmm.
and we were seeing how much we had in common. We did see certain things that we didn't know about each other, but it was people were curious. Like people weren't going, oh no. People were like, oh shit, this is kind of cool, you know. And so I met different people, you know, from different cultures, and I got a chance to go out to dinner with people I probably would have never went out with if I not been on MTV, and different artists, different styles of artists, you know. I mean, I interviewed Kurt Cobain. Next thing you know, like you said, Ace of Base, Blind Melon, Snoop, Tupac, Jay-Z. Like it was everything. I remember the first time I met Little Kim, she was really little. I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I thought they were just saying that. No, you really little. You like little,
And
you
now we've
know?
all seen her boobs. I mean, it was such a,
Right.
I mean, you just brought up the people that you talked about. And I know in the moment, none of us realize the cultural significance
Correct.
of the people that we're interacting with. Do you ever step back and say, and especially with the book, my life was a snapshot of people that really moved the needle?
Yes, it is. All right, let me give you an example, right? It was so profound that the timing of when I got into the music business, entertainment world, I had an interview yesterday on my podcast, and it was Lorel Howery, and he said, dude, do you understand that you were in the right moment when all the legends was alive? I said, oh shit, I didn't think of it like that. He was like, what was crazy, I'm in the 8th grade watching you with all the legends that were alive at that time. Prince, Whitney, Luther Vandross, and on and on and on, Kurt Cobain, whatever, right? All these guys were alive and they were doing legendary shit. They were breaking records. They were selling records. They were touring, you know what I'm saying? And my young ass is just like, hey, hi, hi, Whitney. Hi, Michael. Hi, whatever. And we all kicking it. And they're saying, yo, we got to talk with Bill because Bill has the eye and the ear of the kids that buy music. And that's how it worked. And it was so crazy. It's almost like I was the best DJ in the world or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
I
MTV was my radio station, so to speak.
because I know with like the people I've worked with and met and had the honor of being around, suddenly you hit a certain age, as much as I hate to say that, where you do, and I'm sure that's part of the motivation of the book, where you go, I didn't, it's that old horrible saying, if I knew then what I know now.
Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely true. I mean, I didn't realize how profound it truly was until I started looking at those pictures and I had the time. Like, when you are working, I do comedy, I do TV, movies. I'm always jumping from project to project. I'm never sitting home for 6 months just doing nothing. I'm always doing something, right? So when COVID hit and there was nothing to do at all, really, people were afraid. People were staying in their house. People were like, oh my God, we're going to make a garden and have our own veggies, doing all kinds of shit. I was like, let me just look at my pictures, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. I remember that. That was like 92, you know what I'm saying? And then I was like, yo, So what happened with those pictures, it made me appreciate my life. Like, thank God, thank God I got a chance to live that life. Thank God I recorded a lot of the moments. And then also a lot of my shit is documented. You can go on YouTube right now and pull up me and Janet Jackson, and people be like, what? There's a certain generation that might not know that connection. They're looking at Janet Jackson now as the veteran. She made a way for Beyonce. She made a way for Cardi B and all these girls that are doing concerts. Like the Brat was the first female artist to ever go platinum rapper ever. Now Nicki sells millions. Everybody's like, when somebody opened the door, you know what I mean?
Well, just this morning, the inductees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame came out, and Missy Elliott.
What? The most underrated superstar ever.
Yeah.
Singer, songwriter, rapper, does it all, producer. She should have been in 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Easy.
Now, before I let you go, I have to ask about celebrity ghost stories. I have to be honest and say my mom was on it too, and I missed, and I don't remember your episode because I was probably having to like sage her apartment so she could sleep.
Right.
So, what was your celebrity ghost story?
Oh, so my celebrity ghost story was crazy, right? So when I first moved to LA, you know, I got this big old house and shit, and I'm there. I got my assistant, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. And you know, the house was literally too big for me, but whatever. I forget it's LA, you know. And so I had a weird ass sort of dream thing. I don't know what it was. Like I had like literally, like, you know how when you're dreaming and you're like right in that sweet spot where you don't know if you're awake or you're dreaming. And on my celebrity ghost story, there was a young girl who came up to my hand was out, and she was tapping my hand like this, like I'm rubbing my hand, like almost to get my attention, right? So but the crazy thing, I couldn't turn my head. Like I remember I knew it was a kid. I knew it was young, and I remember she had like a bracelet on her wrist because it touched my skin. So I knew it was a bracelet, right? So I was like, somebody's kid is in my room. I look out the window, I see a little girl doing jump rope. I'm like, whose kid is in my yard? That's crazy. I'm thinking I'm going crazy. Not even a week later, a lady shows up at my house, right? Unannounced. Hits the gate, boom, boom, boom. I'm looking, I'm like, I don't know this chick. Can I help you? She was like, hey, how you doing? This is gonna sound weird, but I grew up in this house. All right, ma'am, if you don't stop with the bullshit, right? Because I'm like, I'm not trying to get robbed, right? So,
Right.
So I'm talking through her through the gate, right? So just talking through the gate, and she's like, I have the weirdest thing to tell you. And I was like, what's going on? She was like, I grew up in this house. I don't know if you're going to believe me, but my room was the back room. She told me everything about the house, and then the bathroom was this, that, and the other way. And I used to play in the backyard. Let me tell you something. I said, ma'am, get away from me. I said, because you're a walking ghost, something going on, there's some spooky shit going on. I'm the only black person in this neighborhood. I ain't trying to go to jail. So listen.
You're not going to scare me out of the neighborhood.
You're not going to scare me out of the neighborhood. I bought this house. You can't do this to me. So anyway, so I told that story on Ghost Stories, and everybody was like, damn, Bill, you ain't sell that house. I was like, nah, I was like, I didn't know. It was just a freaky encounter, but true story.
Scary shit. What?
Yeah, it was scary.
So
how do you explain it? I can't make it make sense.
She could have actually lived in the house.
But why did I have that dream? Why did I have that dream? Why was it a girl, not a boy? And why was it a younger person that I could tell, that I could see with the little pigtails, and she was jumping rope right there. I could see it right through the glass in the yard. Like literally, I thought I was awake. I was like, yo, whose kid is in my yard? I was seeing
No,
it like that.
I totally believe you. I totally believe you.
You can't make that shit up.
And very often I just say to myself, if I'm having trouble sleeping and I'm restless, I'm always like, Mom, just fucking stop. I'm tired. And I know she's not there, but it's like, quit getting in my head.
Right. Exactly. I know exactly what you mean.
Bill Bellamy, always a pleasure. Don't miss the new book called Top Billin, Stories of Laughter, Lessons, and Triumph. And also check out his podcast called Top Billin. I love you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. You my girl. And do not let your kids think you're not cool. You a cool ass mama. Let's go.
Thank you. You are too. We were, you know what? We were cool. You just have to
cool.
believe it.
Yeah, they don't want to believe it, but we still cool. We legends.
Yeah, we pay for that education from being cool. Don't you forget that.
Thank you. Love you to death, man. Have
Love
a beautiful
you.
weekend.